Greetings and welcome back for another thrilling episode of HFY Storytime with me, your host, the Casual Deathworlder. Before we begin, let me take a few moments to give the obligatory like this video, comment on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and more importantly, share this video with the CIA, the Men in Black, and the crew of the next alien ship that abducts you. Let's try and get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. On deck today, we have The Story of Drake McDougal, Part 2 of the Drake McDougal cycle, by user IUpvoteUsernames. The original story link is in the video description. Please follow it and give the author some love and support in the form of upvotes and or comments. While you're at it, be sure to check out my Patreon channel. Consider becoming a subscriber and help keep my editor energized with tacos and tequila. Seriously, he's a large part of what makes this channel work. The link is in the video description and in the channel description on both YouTube and Rumble. Also in the channel description, you can find an invite link to our Discord channel. Come hang out with us. And lastly, a quick shout out to my Tier 3 and 4 patrons. Russ of the Frozen North, Neo5AC, Nick, Zachary Langmead, Scared Wolf 1206, and Zachary Rainey. Thank you very much. Now, on with the story. The Story of Drake McDougal, Part 2.
You asked me in our last discussion what it was like to be the one responsible for bringing humanity into the hierarchy. The one chosen to pay our blood debt to Drake McDougal's bloodkin and kind. At the time, I could not answer you properly. Today, I intend to do so. First, before I explain further, I wish to impress onto you something we have spoken about before, that my kind, the species you know of as the Drac, consider altruism to be one of the most alien and fascinating of concepts. Until we brought humanity into full citizenship with the hierarchy, we did not have a word for it. The closest word to it is not translatable into your language and holds more similarity to that of martyrdom, as I understand the concept. This rose out of what it is to be a Drac. Each of us, each and every one of us, sees ourselves and those directly related to us as more important than all else. It is instinctual, and a distrust of all those not directly related to us is inherent and nearly overpowering to my kind. It is why we have always distanced ourselves from other species except in the enforcement of Pax Draconia, as humanity chose to call it. And indeed, the Drac hierarchy does maintain many similarities with the pre-industrial empire your kind derived the name from. We nearly extinguished ourselves following our own industrial revolution. Bloodline turned into bloodline. Further, we used our technology to eradicate every species on the planet that posed even the slightest threat to us. Our xenophobia and clannishness nearly cost our entire world its biosphere. When we finally realized what had happened, and that we were facing extinction if we did not change our ways, we established the hierarchy and a strict set of castes, duties, and rules of honor. This is where Drake McDougal comes into it. He was not conscripted or caste-bound to save others or protect them. He sacrificed himself when it was not his duty, when he had not been asked to do so, and with equipment he knew would mean his own death or permanent harm. You must understand, this was practically unprecedented. Only 4 other times in the history of the hierarchy following first contact has such a thing occurred. Almost every other species that has evolved has required similarly brutal or extreme methods as my species in order to control these tendencies towards clanism and xenophobia. The Gurdzla have a single hive mind enforced by non-technological Ansible implants, preventing them from seeing one another as separate individuals. The Vandals less effectively electronically and chemically subdue their instincts through injects and invasive surgery, controlling themselves through pure logic. Our kind uses a strict moral code and cultural Brainwashing, I think one of your journalists once called it. Either way, it took us completely by surprise. Drake McDougal paid everything simply to ensure that others lived. Gave up his own life for that, without a debt needing to be paid, without a duty to be fulfilled. That this was something routine for your species still makes my head ache, and it explains so much at the same time. The hierarchy up to that point saw you as we saw almost every other species that has not fully brought itself under control against these urges. Piracy, smuggling, criminality, intra-species murder, rape, and antisocial activities. We thought it a wonder when we made first contact with your kind and brought you into the packs that you had not driven yourselves to extinction. We only gave you access to our trade and harvesting systems, such as Tau Ceti, because your technology at the same time was frankly laughable. Fusion, please. We were past it by the time we left our solar system. It still boggles the mind how your kind continued to propel ships by fusion rocket and laser light, even after unlocking spatial jump technology. We simply brought you in out of tradition and truthfully to keep you from accidentally screwing up anything actually important. Then this happens. An unprecedented, uneducated, undisciplined ape saved one of ours. And when we never got so much as a single request for recompense for his death from your kind, it was beyond imagining. The Senate was tearing at their mandibles trying to understand why no blood payment had been asked for. It took them 3 months to come to the conclusion that it had been a proper martyring, an act of pure selflessness. I can tell you that made waves throughout the hierarchy. A bunch of apes, little better than animals, completely undisciplined by any genetic or artificial means, and yet they had done something completely selfless. One of my kind might do such a thing. Our code encourages it, in fact, but does not demand such rises beyond duty, and to actually do so is rare in the extreme, and all but unheard of towards other species. Then came the Vandals in their attacks on your system, and still there was debate in the Senate on how to repay the blood debt. Something of that much weight had to be carefully considered. The fact that the issue was further muddied by the internalists claiming that such an undisciplined and obviously insane species could not have understood what they had done, and that Drake McDougal has as likely done it out of some kind of mad fit of whim rather than actual martyrdom was still part on the table. It was not until the Vandals, in their decision to eradicate and enslave your kind for some imagined slight, entered your homeworld and captured 3 planets' worth of orbital facilities, that the Senate finally came to the decision that it was better to be safe than sorry. I was chosen, a young fleet commander, to be given the honor of repaying our blood debt. I still remember going over the vids of Drake McDougal's sacrifice again and again, the images playing holographically in every chamber and room of the fleet as we prepared to launch, singing our war hymns in preparation for battle. Then we made the jump, and that massive red gas giant, Jupiter, covered the stars, and your pathetic little fleet stood against the war vessels of the Vandals. We opened fire immediately, and there was to be no quarter asked for or given. The plutonium ion beams our ships were armed with did their terrible work, obliterating their fleet. There was never any question of who the victor would be. It was simply a matter of time. After all, we were not just repaying the debt, but protecting those who we owed the debt to. We might have been able to end the battle in half that span of time if we had not been redirecting our fire to lance down the projectiles before they struck your ships. Though, even knowing your kind better now, no, especially knowing your kind better now, I am just grateful you didn't jump into the fray beyond laying down your own long-range bombardment. That would have made things much more difficult. When it ended, I'd expected this to be routine. They'd know who I was talking about. Surely this Drake McDougal was famous throughout their space. Someone as selfless as he was. And then your communications officer didn't know. I thought to myself, of course, such a horribly disorganized species. They probably haven't heard even now. They're just apes. Do not grow angry. Do not insult them for insulting the memory of Drake. Just ask for their commanding officer. Surely he must know. That was when your Admiral Tiberius spoke to me, and once again he didn't know. I couldn't comprehend what was being told to me. Surely it must just be a problem with translation, yes? Translation. That would explain it. I told the translator to explain it fully, slowly, as he would to a hatchling. And then that one word. Who? That one word sent me over the edge. I thanked the stars above that the translator system had been turned off. I was ready to demand that the fleet open fire on them. My officers might have even obeyed if they had been less level-headed. Surely, I thought, this admiral is an idiot or a monster. He is either so uninformed that he has never heard of the great hero Drake McDougal, or he is vile and trying to deny that the sacrifice had ever been made. That there could be any race so debased and chaotic as to deny such heroism made my stomach roil, and it was only the intervention of my second-in-command that prevented me from turning our plutonium-ion projectors upon humanity's flagship and purging it. I sat through the entire diplomatic meeting, through all the news stories, awestruck. There was no way what I was watching was possible. It simply couldn't be. They must be fabrications, or possibly all condensed from centuries upon centuries and centuries of selfless acts. If we went through my species' entire history, we might be able to turn up as many as your species had routinely carried out, with barely a fifth of our population, over a period of 10 Sol 3 revolutions. It was mind-boggling. The Senate was sent into absolute chaos over it. It was inconceivable that a species without some form of strict organization could do such maddening things so routinely that it simply did not register as important enough to make them major historical figures. Our only choice of action was obvious. Humanity was made full members of the hierarchy. We had to learn, perhaps glean some secret of your psychology we could apply to our own. We opened our libraries and our sciences to your species, and even then you astounded us with how you took only basic principles and worked to master them rather than taking our entire designs. That was nearly 70 Sol 3 revolutions ago, and still shakes me to my core that your kind do not consider this attribute at all special in your own kind, and are so confused when it is not displayed in others. That, Senator Cooper, is what it is like to be the one responsible for bringing humanity into the hierarchy, and allowing one such as yourself to join the Senate. And that is how I have felt ever since that day, and all because one single asteroid miner in a tug craft doing something that to him was nothing special, and I am convinced he would never have asked for more than a verbal thank you, if the thought of even being thanked had even entered his head. May all your debts be paid.
High Admiral, untranslatable into Terran symbology of the hierarchy. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am the Casual Deathworlder, your host. And this has been The Story of Drake McDougal, Part 2 of the Drake McDougal cycle by user IUpvoteUsernames. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Mind you, my throat does not like me right now. Okay, if you enjoyed this, please smash those like and subscribe buttons and drop us a comment down below. Anything to help the algorithm. And, as always, a huge shout out to my editor, Gregor. Thank you very much, buddy. I could not do this without you. Okay, question, who's got the question? Okay, what is your favorite anime? Me personally, it'd be going back a whole lot of years, and that would be Nausicaa and the Valley of the Winds. Leave your answers in the comments down below. Until next time, be safe, be well. I love you all. Bye-bye. We set out to do this thing not because it was easy, but because we thought it would be easy. It wasn't.